Hello, and welcome to Jarviskjir Mind Over Matter Chapter 2, Week 3! We're back after a prolonged period of absence. I'm very happy to be back. I don't know about you. Hello. We're gonna need probably a pretty hefty recap, which I'll do in a bit.
84 years.
Any of y'all have anything you want to say before we get going live? I haven't done my.
I think I remember everything. Oh no, actually no, I do remember what that was now. I was looking at my inventory and everything made sense apart from 6 gold bars in lockbox. And I was like,
that's pretty self-explanatory though, mate.
Yes, but it was where did it come from? And
Yeah.
I just remember.
Yeah. Ian's generally on the point when it comes to D&D and nothing else. This is where all your like knowledge recollection is. It's like, well, I remember what happens in this entire which is, impressive, honestly. It's very useful to have someone else who knows what's going on.
I don't remember how to cook. I just relearn every time I have to do so.
It works. The system works. I'm just like that too. All right. Well, before I take a big glug of my coffee, let's actually go over what's going on. So, Mind Over Matter, Chapter 2, just like Chapter 1, takes place in the Underrealm of Jarviskjir. You were agents of ASKII, the Ebamari leader who is looking for more peace in the Treaty of the Deep, the alliance between all of the Underrealm races. And by all, I mean all of the ones who are big enough and influential enough to, be recognized. ASKII in general kind of wants more people to be involved, and so that's really been what your focus was. After a large change, you guys have decided to focus on Bogdan reclaiming his throne, the Blackjaw, the Deep Dwarf throne, and that is a big departure, but it will get you out of Naar, the usurper elf city, for a long time, which is good for pretty much everyone in the party. As Ashal kind of taking the role of a potential new court wizard, and Ocean being just general advisor, and being glad to get out of Naar, as the fact that Ocean has given birth to a divine child is stoking all kinds of drama amongst the church. Last session, you guys went to Kavanari. Kavanari is a brand new city built as, I guess, kind of like, what is it, Brussels? It's a diplomatic city, where you've met up with some old friends and met some new ones. Bogdan, you've met up with Botov, who is a spy, essentially, who also has explored the surface in great detail, and also a map maker. He has quite a few skills, and he has basically agreed to help you and given you the bones of a plan that you can start really working on more, especially once you get to the Wall of Abun, which is all the way north of where you are right now. You're gonna have to go through the entire dwarven country to get there.
There's gonna be a lot of stooping. There's gonna be a lot of stooping very soon.
Yep. You also met with Katja Al, who is a agent of ASKII, who is now Ashal's new little brother, little sibling, who is just a weird little Ebamari mind flayer individual, who you haven't really.
Not very individual.
Not very individual.
I put that in my notes. New little brother.
Someone in chat said it last week, and I was like, that's perfect. Because that's exactly what this dynamic is. It's like the little brother you don't want, little step brother that you suddenly have to take care of.
And that you have no idea how to interact with.
Yeah. And that's pretty much where we're at. You guys spent the end of last session drinking with this new expanded party, and also drinking with Jureko, who is a usurper elf diplomat. Very influential, despite being a disaster. And this session, we're going to start the morning after the drinking. unless you guys have anything else you really want to work on first, the main thing will be you guys setting up the beetle for you guys traveling north. So you'd be at the stables, arranging, supplies and making sure that the beetle is ready for such a journey and that you've got everyone. Anything else any of you wanted to do before that in the city, or with the new party members you have?
I'm ready to go.
I think I'm ready to go.
We'll pack
Before you go, Botov will kind of, tap Bogdan on the shoulder, and will say, Bogdan, while I agree with your cause, you got to understand that such a thing cannot be done for free. I will not tighten your coin purse now. Let's make a deal. If we can get you on that throne, 15,000 gold from the treasury. Enough for me to disappear.
That seems doable.
Gives you just like a dwarven business nod. It's like, okay, the deal has been done. Nothing more needs to be discussed. And he's going to walk past your part of the stable to a different stable lodging. What do you call it? I don't know. Where he gets out his mount, a large wolf-like creature. Huh?
Different
stall.
Stall.
Yeah. He gets out a large wolf-like creature known as a warg. It looks...
no shit!
Yeah. And this is a fully grown warg too, so the size of a bit smaller than a horse.
He hits his head on the ceiling every so often, just ow. Ow.
There is a black and green leather barding. Wargs in general, they're very much like a very wild wolf, but they have just enough different features to look completely unlike a wolf. And he will kind of lead her out and check that he has all his things and like put his bags on places on the saddles and stuff like that. So
I was just imagining like a very mafioso-esque, like mwah, mwah on each cheek.
On the dog?
Men. No, the deal. The deal
Oh, that would be pretty fitting. But you're not dealing with the dwarf mafia yet. Maybe that'll happen later. Okay, so with that, you guys are ready to head out. You leave through the front gates of Kavanari, through that grand market, with all of you, with you three and Kacha'al on the back of your beetle Oppa, and Botov on his warg mount.
How close is Kacha'al to Ashal?
Kacha'al only knows Ashal, really, so Kacha'al is always like beside Ashal, but not uncomfortably close. The excluding the fact that you have a giant woman on board your beetle, but on the beetle is a palanquin. It's been a while. I've forgotten all the fancy D&D words we use. The palanquin probably has seating room for like 9 people. Now you're big, which doesn't help it. So there is a big enough difference, but like if Ashal is sitting, Ashal probably has a regular seat. Kacha'al is in the one next to that.
There's just a big gap because there's a pile of books like either side.
Yeah, and that's fine. Kacha'al doesn't,
Just build a little wall, like just looking at him.
And they don't really say anything. In fact, Kacha'al kind of like props themselves up on the seat of the palanquin, almost as if they were kneeling on it, and seems very much comfortable. So remember, they're very small. They're only 5 foot tall. Before long, you're outside of Kavanari, and you can pretty much plan your route out. Now, you do have a request from Orkshire to investigate the Cult of the Undersun on your way up, which you don't actually need to honor. The Cult of the Undersun is found near the bottom of the Dwarven territories, so you don't really need to worry about that. In fact, why don't I show the kids at home the map for a second? Your little, here, we're going here is very outdated, because right now you guys are here, right? You're in Kavanari. There are 2 entrances to the Dwarven Kingdoms from here. You passed this one before, to the northwest, and I described it in that it's mostly automated. This one over here would be the main entrance to the kingdom from this side. This would be the one where you'd actually get, if you wanted to talk with any guards, if you wanted to get the lay of the land, stuff like that would be pretty easy to do. The Cult of the Undersun, it would probably be, Botov would be able to tell you the exact location of it. It's in an area around here called the Dew Dyers. So either entrance to the city would be fine. There would be roads that would allow you to get there relatively painlessly. So which way do you want to go? Do you want to go through the main entrance to Abun, or kind of take the side route?
I want to take the main entrance. Bogdan, if he's feeling like he's coming home, he doesn't want to go into the back door.
Cool.
Also, like you said, it'll give us a chance to talk. Hear what the guards are thinking, and maybe get the pulse on some stuff. Where is Alzin's bounty?
Alzin's bounty. Let me check on my notes. Alzin's bounty is kind of this whole chunk to the east. This whole chunk. So that is the farming territory of the Deep Dwarves for everyone else. It's very well respected. The Deep Dwarves are very, the land is not, despite it being called bounty, the land is not that bountiful. It's just more bountiful there than anyone else. So it's a very large amount of territory that they need to control to farm. Also, just so you know, because you were told you might be able to get some assistance from Basteron? That's kind of up in this region.
Which region? Sorry.
This way. So it's basically the other side.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I feel like we're probably just going to zigzag across Abun.
Yeah.
I think I do want to talk to the rest of the party about the Cult of the Undersun.
Sure, you could do that on the way to your to the main gate.
Mm-hmm. Sure. The Cult of the Undersun, I'm not sure how it could help. It is a blast, it's a heresy of the voice in the wall religion of my people and myself. Do you think it's worth our time? The last time we followed the bitings of Orkshire, it turned out bad.
The cult will not be any use to you in taking the throne. If anything, it would be a hindrance. Orkshire's request is perhaps useful in the longer term, bringing more groups under the treaty, but it is not an immediate benefit. If we are to do something about them, I would suggest doing it on the way back.
Not sure there will be a way back, but I see what you're saying. I do believe that if my first destination in Abun is the place of heretics and outcasts, it might send the wrong impression for watchful eyes. In that case, we shall start our journey toward Alzin's bounty, and we shall try to win the favor of the farmers.
Do we wish to do that before destroying any records proper?
The records are in the wall of Abunir. I will have to assume the throne and then destroy the records. If there's a way to do it before taking the throne without causing a political incident, then we can do that too. But as I've been led to believe, until we get to the wall, those records are not in play.
That is reasonable.
Go ahead.
My concern being that if we start to garner support and your presence becomes known before the records are dealt with, it gives our opponents something to shut us down very easily.
That's what Bodov will kind of agree with. Let's assume maybe you're having a bit of a camp or something, so the Bodov can actually have a say. You know, he's like tweaking his teeth with a knife or something, or just kind of like wave it in agreement towards you two.
In that case, we should head straight for the wall and then backtrack.
We can hear the words of the people on the way. Maybe do some aid. But if you want it known that you're trying to reclaim the throne, your records should be destroyed first.
Very good.
As much as I'm sure you want to announce yourself and be known, I do believe it would be best to go incognito until the ammunition that can be used against you is disposed of.
In that case, we shall need a guise to pass through Abunir, something believable, so that we don't draw the attention of anyone who might be interested in the whereabouts of an alabast.
Holy emissary?
That might draw a lot of attention. I like where your head's at.
Moving to you, perhaps?
I presume that your dealings with Hogshaw are not known to the people of Abunir.
Other than my name, I am not well known to the people of Abunir. There are some communities who I've helped in my 100 years as a warrior, but not enough to... I'm not a name spoken or aloud in most places.
Then we maintain a truth after a fashion, that we are working as diplomatic envoys of Hogshaw, and we are currently looking into the political happenings in Abunir, as she finds it difficult to maintain a presence there.
That may grant us access in the wall necessary to find the records.
You can be simply Bogdan, a dwarven mercenary who has lived most of their life outside of the realm, and we do not need to hide our identities. The less a lie, the harder it is to be caught out.
You could be Denbog.
I shall remain Bogdan for the time. I shall conceal my family name until it is time to build that name back up. Very well, we have the plan. We shall take the main roads then. If we truly are diplomatic emissaries, we would not skulk. Are we all agreed?
Sounds like an excellent plan.
Very well.
Okay.
That's the plan.
Common name for dwarves. It might actually be Smith.
Bogdan?
Just say Smith.
I think Bogdan probably isn't that uncommon a name.
It's the William of dwarves.
It's more of a William than a Smith.
So if there's William, then Will would be Bog.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're right, but you shouldn't say it.
Oh, Bog down the pub.
Oh, Bog.
And instead of Bill, they say Augie.
Augie.
Oh, that's so cute. You
so-
are now called Augie.
Whether you like it or not.
Augie.
King Augie of the wall. Okay. So, it's really no time at all before you become, before the entrance to Abun becomes visible. As I described briefly before, the walls between caverns where there are breaks, the deep dwarves have built very impressive fortifications. They're not like a complete plug. In fact, in this area, it's more like two towers with a bridge between them that ends up looking a bit like a H. But the main thing is that people traveling by foot, or if anyone is trying to like scuttle across the walls on like spiderback or something, like, no, they'll be seen. Especially with freedom of travel amongst the Treaty of Deep races right now, it's a fairly relaxed border, but it's relaxed for dwarves, who are very militant. So there's still a large military presence as you approach. There's fortifications, you can see mounted crossbows on the walls, you can see a good deal of soldiers. Something that would probably give you a little bit of relief, Bogdan, is that you see no automated Duros. These are all warrior caste deep dwarves. True and true Duragar by like D&D standards, you know, like proper warriors. There is a unity enough between their uniforms, but also enough disunity to kind of tell you, Bogdan, as a warrior and a mercenary as well, it's like, this is a fairly new appointment for a lot of people down here. I think based on like your history checks and stuff before, you'd be able to put together that with the automation of some of the Warforce and also the Treaty of the Deep, doing border duty is just kind of a role of some of the warrior casts now. That it would have been before, but it's more so now. So it's there are some new folks around at the border. You would be waved to an area where they would check who you are and if you are who you say you are. So, when the Deep Dwarf guards do so, what do you tell them?
I mean, I think Ashal would actually probably take the lead.
Sure.
And would, because we've still got the, like, mark, badge, whatever it was.
Obol.
Thing. Obol, yeah, from Ultra. We are envoys from Oakshire. We intend to look into the current political climate in the wall.
Oakshire, what is Oakshire?
The leader of the Ebimari.
They'll kind of, like, there would be someone at high enough of a step. Hey, there would be someone at high enough of a step due to the little towers and things, to look at the palanquin, and there's a Shal, and there's Catcher Al, and it's like, you're a weird little group, and so that immediately makes sense. They would, like, check the O-Ball and check that it's legit, based on you know, a book of known marks and things for travelers, but you would be kind of waved through. They would say that If you need water or provisions for your journey, you'll be able to acquire them here. We also can sharpen your blades for spellcasters like yourself. Not so much that we can do unless you pay homage to the voice. She's not heard so well this far out, but you should do well to pray as well, brother. And the portcullis would be raised further, because probably the portcullis wasn't down all the way, so that people could walk through, but your vehicle is very tall. So you guys can head through.
As we're walking through, I'll kind of turn to one of the guards and be like, it's good to see that the warrior caste is still on the walls. We've heard, it's been some time since I've returned to the homeland, and I've heard that many of the Duras have taken your posts.
Yeah, the guy immediately makes a bit of a face. And will kind of just give you a curt nod and we are not sent to the surface to fight the foul dwarves of that realm. It means it's hard for us to attain true honor in death, but supposedly it is not our place to fight them right now. By the treaty.
So, the Duras are fighting in the surface?
They're fighting all the way on the whole way from down here to the surface, the whole Noldinium. It was not long ago that we actually captured a whole city on the surface, but the incompetency of gnomes and these machines proved foul. They should just send us up there with heavy weapons of dark steel. We would be able to get the job done. By the voice. And the whole surface will hear her. Maybe then they will stop fighting stupid battles.
You just gave me flashbacks. Just like Nom, just weeping.
Yeah, that whole thing he just mentioned was Everhold. It was a campaign that these two were in.
Ian deals with the trauma
Doing it to other people.
The character that killed the previous character.
Yeah, it's just like a leapfrog system.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the... This guy just complains to you for a little while. He would offer you to like... Because this is like a guardhouse. You know, he would offer you like there's a keg built into the wall and kind of like motion to it for you to take some mushroom brewed ale and.
Do they do pancakes?
Yes, actually.
Yes!
So Ocean comes down through the palanquin to look over the buffet in the guardhouse. And they're
stack of pancakes.
They are these grey, thick, pancakey things. I was going to tell you this a bit more later, but might as well do it now. The staple food for deep dwarves is a mushroom called the bump helmet. It is a grey, rocky thing, and it can be cooked into just about anything, ground into flour and made into like pancakes. It can be made into ale. It's very nutritious. It's a thing that non-dwarves have a hard time palating, so it might be one of those things where you take like a big forkful of fluffy pancake and you're like, but to dwarves, it's like, well, it doesn't matter what it tastes like. I can drink this ale and it will be a full meal. You know, like a full mug of ale. Like, that's the main thing. And there are a lot of other foodstuffs as well that are grown because there's such a large farming history and culture. But that's the staple food stuff.
Much sadder than lambus bread.
It's much sadder than lambus bread.
One small drink is enough to fill the stomach of a full-grown dwarf.
But it is alcoholic. So...
We're just a nation of drunks.
Yep. Yeah. So that's just a little neat fact for you on the food front. Do you have any more questions for the guards?
I don't have to roll a constitution check.
No, unless you want to keep eating it.
I guess I'll just ask them to, you know, I choose the dialogue option, just like, hey, you got any rumors?
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually a really good one. Can you give me a persuasion check for that?
Sure.
I've been playing
No,
Skyrim
no,
again, so that like
no,
really hit me in the soul.
I'm actually proficient in persuasion,
Yeah.
which, you know, doesn't help much when you have +0 to begin with. But hey, make sure I'm on normal. All right, here we go. I got an 11.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I'm sure you'll hear all kinds of things. Where you're headed to the city?
We're headed to the wall, yes, via the main road.
There's not much happening in the city.
So the war remains on the surface, then.
They have not sent a single soldier that has ever reached the wall.
That's good.
Mm. Yeah.
Well, thanks for the mug.
This isn't. Yeah, that definitely is a canon silence. Yeah.
Ashal, these are really foul. We should try and feed them to someone.
Catch a
I
owl
shall
is sitting
beg.
on the other side of the palanquin.
Yeah, Ashal is like just sort of like reading book, like eyes glance upwards, goes back to reading book.
Smell this, Ashal.
and Bogdan is looking at all the food, and then he'll return to his companions and be like, you know, we should probably sell some of these provisions we got in Kavanari and buy some real food.
I hear that.
He's, of course, gesturing to the food that...
Yeah.
Ashal just sort of like slumps. Do what you wish. It's not like I eat any of this.
That does raise the question. How often do you need a brain?
About once a week, I have been making do with sipping from willing individuals when we have stopped at...
Can you have a little jar of doodads?
I have some rations in case of emergency.
So, smoked brain?
Ashal pulls out like a little, it's sort of a mason jar full of fluid and like a brain that like you can sort of tell that the brain is sort of still alive, like just an occasional like little pulse,
Oh,
and
Yeah.
then just returns it to the belt.
Horrifying. Do you have to eat the brains of sentience, or with like a rodent or a horse? I mean, we don't have horses down here, but
Catch a owl noticeably like Catch a owl doesn't seem to move much. But kind of jerks and like just enough to like get your peripheral vision like what's happening when you say that. And we'll seem to pay a little bit of attention.
We cannot feed on unintelligent creatures, and non-sapient would be the best term. They do not hold the psionic energy. That
he
will-
says that. The quality of those words, you're like, oh, you really like that, don't you?
I believe that would be the term in trade tongue. But no, I cannot. At least I cannot for long sustain myself on non-sapience. Also, it would not be very satisfying to try and do so. I imagine it would be akin to your kind subsisting on grass or similar. That glowy stuff around the bottom of the fungi forests.
Don't knock lichen until you've had it prepared just the right way. But I hear what you're saying.
Lichen, yes, that is a term.
Can you guys give me perception checks?
Has anyone in the history of D&D be like, no?
I feel like that's definitely happened in this lot before. It's happened in the Monday game.
I think that's Neil who does that a lot. No, I don't want to.
Bogdan is the only one who notices that Catcher Al has shuffled across the bench at the palanquin and has taken the plate of pancakes that Ocean stopped eating, and it's just disappeared under the cloak. Just like...
Oh my god, it's 2 deep dwarves in a coat!
Exactly!
I'm pretty sure he...
Ollie's face is like, they figured it out.
Did he connect to me telepathically first? I can't remember.
I think it was a mutual handshaking.
But people can respond to me when I connect to them. I can't remember if they if Catchal initiated contact or not.
Smooched first.
So you're saying it's Katja and all?
That would be good. I have done that before.
I'm invested in this double gnome.
2 gnomes in a trench coat. By the way, am I doing semi-regular baby patting vomit checks?
Yeah.
Do I ace the burping?
I didn't even want to make that like a thing you have to, because like Ocean, despite never being a mother before, is divinely the best mother in the world, right? You don't need to, like, it's subconscious feeding and taking care of the baby. The baby doesn't do much, although...
In the air, catches it in a diaper.
Oh, yeah.
It's like something out of a cartoon.
Yeah, don't do that, though.
All of the arms are, like, doing different things. I can have, like, 8 puppet shows.
It is of note, though, this whole day, the baby's been, like, cranky. Now, it's a very, very young elven baby, so they're not particularly loud yet, but they're getting there. There's, like, a couple of moments where it's like, oh, he might scream. Oh, he's just kind of, like, gurgling angrily, but he's in a real bad mood today, no matter what you seem to do.
Oh no.
Unless you have an idea of how you want to cheer him up.
A shawl.
No.
A shawl.
No.
A shawl.
No.
Wiggle your tentacles.
Charles studiously ignores you.
Holds baby.
The baby's like...
As Charles shifts further along away.
Say, your kind may have some kind of, like, lullabies, right?
Catcher Al will say, our kind does not have children.
It's true. They don't have
Very
children.
convincing, Catch-all. Very convincing. Yes, you are a real one.
Your people are far more known for art such as song than ours. We do not have any need for speech.
That is fair enough. In that
For my
case,
people, we usually sing them a somber drinking song.
you can sing some kind of lullaby if you'd like. Would you like to give it a go?
I could do that, but
Do it.
I can't promise that anyone will enjoy it.
Roll.
I wonder if those guards have any compatible ear.
All right. If allowed, Bogdan will take that little monster baby, and we'll try to sing a somber drinking song.
Yeah.
In fact, I think Bogdan, now that they're away from the guards, right? At this point, they're back on the road.
You're like, you're probably like a couple of hours
Okay.
further on the road. You're far enough if you wanted to go back and get something, you could. But, you know.
Ogden
I
will
use
sing.
God magic to temporarily pop my equivalent of eardrums.
Oh,
Wow, that's
foul!
oof. What if I roll really well? I got a +0. You don't know. Anyway, he's gonna sing the Lament of Alabast. It's a folk song about his family and how they fell.
Performance check or
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna do it. No
Come
whammy.
on,
5 gang.
come on.
19. Get
That's so good. So as soon as you take,
Falls asleep.
as soon as you know the transfer of hands happens with this baby, and Ocean's hands are no longer on the baby, he gets way madder. For a little while, like actually full on crying. But then you start singing this deep dwarven song, this deep bassy dirge that is palpably somber, right? And yeah, and the baby calms down. The baby listens. Like, you know, when you can tell they're like paying attention, and just sort of calms down. And by the end of it, because it's probably a bit of a long song, the baby is asleep in your hands.
You're a
Not gonna lie, I really wanted to nail that.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad that you did. That's like such a good moment.
That was great. That was really cool. I like that.
Okay. Travel north. Travel north. So, it's going to be a bit of a long journey. Do you want to travel at a greater pace? Because your plan is kind of to reach the wall of Abanar and then go back to achieve many other things. So do you want to go at a faster pace than usual? The disadvantage of going at fast speed is that you're less perceptive of issues on the road. But that probably won't be an issue because Dwarven roads are pretty safe.
I'm cool with the fast pace. What do you guys think?
Yeah, given that we're gonna have to be zigzagging about a bit.
Yeah, and also if anyone, I mean, there, people in Abonir know me. It's not a lot of people, but the faster we move, the less chance. You're like, oh, hey, that's Bogdan. Gets disseminated about. Yeah, so we'll go at a fast pace.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, it is one of those things where it's kind of like, and the beetle has to go at a quick speed. And scuttle along. Occasionally, Botov will take he and his warg on like a loop around you. Natural scout, spy, it's just kind of, he's keeping an eye.
Useful.
Yeah. As you're heading north through the Dwarven Kingdom, the Kingdom of the Deep Dwarves, the roads you're traveling on are beautifully maintained, old stonework. Any areas where it would have been worn for any reason, a rock slide, the growth, a monster attack, has been replaced. And you can kind of tell due to the almost mottled colors of different flagstones used over generations and generations. Being the hot period of the year, there are areas, especially on the side of cavern walls, where there's big stone pillars that grow up all the way up to the ceiling beyond the clouds of the caverns. There are those magma vents that boil down. In some areas, you spy groups of dwarven of the crafting caste collecting the magma. Sometimes it seems to be a present enough place that there are these little, almost like village that pops up around a magma vent during this part of the year and then does what it does and then leaves. The majority of dwarves either live in the farmlands or Abanar, the wall. So it means you don't pass like a lot of side villages, which is quite similar to the dwarven territory, the elven territories as well, because it's just dangerous. It's a dangerous place. To the west, so on your left as you're traveling, most of the areas are up a high rocky incline, and occasionally you see guard towers or something, but there's like this natural incline protecting them from what's going on down here. and the Ozian bounty is also slightly higher as well. But that's much more populated. You can see windmills, you can see all sorts of structures. Occasionally you will pass big, bountiful areas of farmland being collected in what would basically be the harvest season for some things. It would be about halfway on your journey, which would be around 2 weeks. Probably take you a month to travel across the whole country at max pace, nearly max pace, right? You would pass the core town of Ozian's Bounty. It would have a very, it would be very easy to reach from this main central road that goes through the rest of the kingdom, and it is, much like I often describe, a hub town for all the farmlands to kind of coalesce and collect things. I imagine you don't really want to stop there now, but it is, a note for next time that this is where you can kind of reach the farming folk if you want to do so. Unless you do want to stop here now and kind of get the lay of the land. That's up to you.
I'm sure we've got water and provisions and stuff.
Yeah, you've got provisions. You can collect enough water. Collecting water is sometimes treacherous in areas like this. You probably would go and get fresh, clean, healthy water from the town very quickly.
And as for stopping, and I think we're gonna just try to keep a low profile, get to the wall, and do what we need to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's kind of what I thought. So you pass that town and continue heading north. Just before the Wall of Abunir, but when you're close enough that the wall is visible to you, you pass an area that is called the Helmet's Ward. This is where there are actual proper military fortified towers. If any of the other races of the Underrealm were to attack the Wall of Abunar, they wouldn't get to the Wall of Abunar, is the theory. Lots of military guarded areas and things like that. As you're passing, you see quite a lot of tents set up in the area, but not really on the roads that you're taking. It's just, it's very flat now up until the wall, and so you can really see quite a lot. The tents don't look dwarven. They look more of elven make, set up around this region. And then behind that, to the north, is the Wall of Naar, the deep dwarven city. It is a pretty imposing visage when you approach, especially on a day where there is not much in the way of cloud cover. Narashiro, for comparison's sake, is a city built up over time over one point, but upwards. The Wall of Abunar seems like it was built, well, it was built on the side of the natural cavern wall, all the way up, all the way down, and out. It is this huge, carved into the stone city, where occasionally there are entire districts that jut out. There are elevators that go up and down, and it's really quite imposing, but also beautiful in a way, as you start getting up close to it. There wouldn't be all much of a problem of you guys actually entering the city. It's kind of semi-assumed you've got past all the other points that you are, meant to be here. But the lowest point of the city's point at ground level, are mostly semi-abandoned. There is the caveat at any city, anywhere in the globe, where there is a city entrance, there is a marketplace, makeshift or not. But this is not like the ones at the entrance to Narashiro where there's a lot of sale going on. This is people trying to make a real quick buck just to survive their little bit of extra lives. Sometimes people who have been slightly cast out of their castes for whatever reason, and where some people who have kind of been exiled from the rest of the city hang out. It's also an area where you can kind of see the weight of the city grinding on the very lowest points. But this wouldn't be where you'd really consider the city proper to be. Now, it's kind of up to you, but it will be quite difficult to take the beetle into the city proper. the streets are not designed for large beasts of burden. And so it would probably be best for you guys to stable them on the outside. And there would be pretty large stabling areas outside the city, because it always is. Although the dwarves are not the keenest beast tamers themselves, there still would be so. There would also be areas where you'd find more wagons and carts and things like that, and some of them even steam powered, rather than other people storing their beetles. The other people who are storing beetles would be usurper elf and gnomish travelers and things like that, of which there are a lot. Botov, when you are getting up close, will kind of point up to the top with a dagger. He almost always seems to be just fiddling with a dagger, and will point and be like, he'll do that, and he was about to say something to Bogdan, and he will look at Ashal and Oshun and say, imagine it is your first time to this city.
It's beautiful.
We shall be tourists for a moment. It will be useful.
Ocean puts on a cap and a fanny pack.
Ocean probably does have a fanny pack. It's just practical.
Ocean walks up to the first dwarf, she says, and then speaking in Elvish talks really slowly.
Terrible.
Bogdan will lead you towards one of the elevators. Now, funnily enough, none of you would find elevators quite weird because they're actually semi-common in the Underrealm. Abunmaro has elevators, but the elevators in Abunmaro are organic. They are operated via gas that flows and shifts the elevators. The elevators in the Wall of Avenir are mechanical, mostly operated by manpower. Huge chains and cogwheels and things lifting these pallets of stone. And you wouldn't be the only people in there. There would be, a rush of commuters. It's more like a train that just goes up and down, you know what I mean? And starts grinding its way upwards through the city. As you go upwards through the elevator, you see different areas of the city, and just like any other city has districts. Though, of course, they're either layers, like floors of the city, or areas that have built on the side, or geographic areas, because the city kind of eventually reaches a curve to the west. Botov will take you to the Grand Plaza. This is one of the highest points of the Wall of Abunar, and we'll start walking you towards the Grand Plaza, because the elevator doesn't take you right there. This is when you get a real good view of what sets this city apart, the Dwarven architecture. Deep Dwarven architecture is very practical, but there is such a beauty in that practicality. Every building is someone's life's work. Several centuries of planning and execution. They're not beautiful in that they're well painted, or like in the case of Narashiro. In Narashiro, there are statues everywhere. No, there's actually not much in the way of statues. It's just the buildings are very brilliantly made and very aesthetically pleasing and well planned. And it being a vertical city, there are bridges between the buildings and there are walkways and there are stairs, but they've all been planned out very well. It actually makes it a lot easier for you to get around than a place like Narashiro or Ebamaro. And while Ebamaro, everything was organically built, everything here is artificial, but then fades into the stone as if it was meant to belong there. It's very aesthetically bare, but brilliant. There are areas where there is almost that kind of Chinese-esque pitched roofing. There are areas where there is that Russian-esque, almost bulbous part to the roofing, and areas where it's just cubes. It's the most simple, basic shape. There are areas where the streets are lit by purple lanterns that just bathe the buildings in beautiful light. There are areas where the smoke vents from factories form brilliant lines. It's a place that's beauty in its sheer pragmatism and practicality to a dwarf. and probably has things that a lot of other people could respect as well. It's also busy. You don't see a lot of dwarfs congregating outside of the city, but it is a busy place. And with dwarves, you guys being tourists, especially Ocean being big, it's like, out of the way, like little like blurts of commons, like, hey, I'm walking here, and you know, etc. And there's wagons and things going through the streets, etc., etc. You would be starting to catch the differences between the castes, but it's in some places it's subtle. As Botov takes you to the Grand Plaza itself, kind of specifically to show you something, I think this is a great place for us to take a little break. Ta-da! We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Ta-da! We're live. I did it. Okay, so, that's right. I've got a DM. The Grand Plaza that Bodov takes you to. This is the largest kind of central marketplace of the city. It would be based on its area of the city, you know, very noble. But people from all over the city are found here. It is just a grand marketplace with boutiques and tents with all kinds of goods in them. And it's so... One of the reasons why it's so grand is it's nearly the highest point in the city. Not highest point in the city, because of course there are buildings on this layer higher, but there's nearly nothing above it. In a lot of Abanar, just being the way it's built, there's ceilings, right? In a lot of areas there's ceilings, even in communal areas, stuff like that. But to here, there is only one thing above, which Botov points out. The King's Palace. The Chin of Abun. Botov points at it with a dagger, of course. He's not getting rid of that prop. I wanted the word prop. There we go. The Chin of Abun is the King's Palace. It kind of leers over the Grand Plaza. And vaguely, a bit like Dracula's castle in the Bram Stoker's Dracula's movie, it's like it vaguely resembles a man in a throne. This vaguely resembles a dwarf's face, for it leers over the plaza, and then there are these pipes that strain out of it, that are coated in stone in some areas, but there's still areas where metal gleams through that do vaguely resemble a braided beard for a dwarf. And they kind of cast this shadow over the plaza. Some of the pipes go directly to the distillery district. Some of the pipes go to you know, sewage and waste. Some go to clean water reservoirs. It's basically everything that you would need in a palace, in or out, goes through these pipes. And then the actual entrance to the palace itself, I guess, on the metaphor, like the neck, would be the north side of this plaza. And Bodov would point at it and would say, the Chin of Abun is where you're going to be taking the throne, or where one would want to take the throne. This is where the king would be now. This is where the king rules. This is where the Blackjaw is, of course. In Dwarven, just so you know, the Chin of Abun, often when it comes to things, I translate them from Dwarven or Elvish just for ease. But the Chin of Abun is called the Lonum Mendun Abun. So you can also call it the Lonum, if you want it. And so yeah, he'll just kind of point that out to you, as well as also, you know, it's a good bet when you're in a new city to be like, here's the Grand Bazaar, right? Here's the Grand Plaza, here's the marketplace, here's the bazaar. If you need anything, a lot of areas kind of spoke off from this point, although in a little bit more of an abstract way when it comes to dwarves. So, Bodov will point this out to you and will say, he'll then turn and say, but a lot quieter. He is like one of the only dwarves who is very good at keeping their voice down. And will say that will be the end of your journey. After all else is done. It's important to remember. Now we are in the city, there is much more that we can do. We need a base of operations while we are here, because you cannot stay into your, on your beetles back. And then we will get started. Either with... Well, I will be needing to do some research. Well, we have a plan of what you need to do. I need to know who the king's right and left hand are. That is always the goal. As I said, when it comes to leading a nation, it is all about the keys to power. You will need the distilleries and the farms. and the warrior caste on your side. The mines we might want to visit, but they're under Skarhane's boot. But Skarhane has different allies as well, and those are the ones I want to investigate. They might have changed since I was gone. There might be more information to get, so I will be ferreting myself away to do this. What, I have some places that we could lay down our head, but what do you think? He says, looking to Bogdan.
Actually, have a place. It might be a bit cramped for the... Sorry, there's a
There's some loud dwarven children running by.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
I have a place that, it might be a bit cramped for the 6 of us. Oh, sorry, the 5 of us.
And those children.
And those children.
And these children which we're taking with us.
But, yeah. Let's head to the cathedral district.
Excellent. That's actually like a note. In some cities you don't notice the city guard too much, especially in smaller towns. In Narashiro, the city guard are pretty obfuscated, other than specific bodyguards in some places. And in Ebamaro, there basically is no city guard, because if someone does a crime by thought or physicality, the hive mind will get them. In Abunar, you have the Church of the Voice, who operate as the city's lawmakers. So there are paladins, fully armored, usually with a shield in one hand and either a mace or an axe or even a magic rod in the other. Very clean and pristine, high quality steel armor, not even using dark steel. So they're very visible, who are operating the law. Occasionally, like, you'd pass them, like, just kind of, I'm trying to think of what the word is. You know, maybe they've caught someone, and they're going over the law to them in this booming dwarven voice. So the city guard of this city is paladins, and each one of them are paladins that can actually manifest holy powers as well from the voice. They would be more and more common in the cathedral district, where the cathedral district this high in the city would be for the Church of the Voice. There are 3 churches in this city, of course. There also is the Church of the Maces, which is basically the city's military. It's only really a church because of the religious nature of such a large dwarven military. And then there is the Church of Myr, which are grave clerics and necromancers and the people who deal with the dead. The Church of the Voice are, of course, the most influential, and they would have this grand cathedral district all surrounding this very Anor Londo-esque structure that almost seems to grow out of the wall itself, with all these buildings around. Most of the buildings in very fine condition, lots of them carved out of a pale stone or painted pale after the fact. And then Bogdan takes you down to a walled-off, old, kind of ratty-looking structure. You could be mistaken for thinking it's truly abandoned, but, like, the plant life outside is, like, clearly somewhat maintained. The metalwork isn't truly, like, rusted on the building and stuff like that. It's just a little shabby looking. Bogdan, you probably have a key to the gate and can let yourself in. There would be a courtyard outside, mostly for your... This is a, military caste building, so the courtyard is mostly meant for training. There would probably be even a kind of ratty-looking, like, training dummy, which would have, like, a stone foundation and then, like, straw padding around it, and that's, like, straw padding is now just all, like, the rats have gotten to it and stuff because no one's been fighting here for a while. And there'd be like a helmet on the top of the thing's head and stuff like that. And then there would be the building itself. Do you want to tell the party anything about the place as you're heading in?
Yeah, so the building is built in, just like everything else. It's like built into the wall of the street, and it has that kind of like I should probably look up the name of it, but those like that kind of has a hexagonal arrangement, like that you see in nature and
yeah, that's
places.
a good point. Dwarves would use it quite a bit.
Yeah, and it has it's kind of like the outside of it looks like pieced together large hexagonal pillars that are all solid black, and it has a few windows that are, there's no light coming out of them, and a large cast iron door, very nondescript, and it's just really quiet. Yeah.
When you open the front door, it would probably just be a large entry chamber, right? With stone benches for seating and discussion, and probably a water fountain of the degree of, like, for getting fresh water. Not like a very pretty one. Water pours from here. Very basic, but probably also enough for, like, a quick wash if you needed as well, on the way out. And then there would be stairwells to the other parts of the building. Go ahead.
Just muted.
Yeah. I double tapped it because I was excited. It's how like the ring bell for service. Instead, it's like this hexagonal rod on a chain that you strike into the ground.
Yeah.
Bogdan will hit it twice and go, "Oh, fast!"
Yeah.
Where are you, you old bastard?
You could already hear Allfirst, like, probably getting from where their chamber is. Allfirst starts heading down the stairs from upstairs. Actually, he probably wouldn't live upstairs. Being an old and injured person, he probably used to and doesn't anymore. He is an old dwarf, but clearly a warrior, to the point that, like, old dwarves often still have a lot of their muscle to them. But also now has a bit of pudge as well. He would be strapping on his prosthetic arm, which would be very basic, but doesn't wear it all the time because it's not always necessary. But it's a degree of being in ready dress, I suppose, as being a servant of the house. He would approach, and he would kind of do this like hand on chest motion. Like, Bogdan, my prince! I was not expecting you to be returning.
Holy shit. My major domo is Watto.
Well, now you've said it, and now it's gonna be.
Yes, events have brought me home. Hopefully, I shall stay in the city much longer.
Oh, that's good.
Summon Helenka.
Helenka!
Is she still on the premises? I assume she's gone to her hovel.
We're all
Rude.
we're being
It's a
deep
dwarven
dwarf,
hovel.
Yeah. Oh, we're all still here. The building's still. The walls still stay up. We're still here. And you will go and kind of poke around to an area that you would have no way of knowing if you didn't live here where the kitchens were, because it's not any more welcoming than anywhere else. But there would be a kitchen, probably in technically the basement level, but everything is stone anyway, with no ground. To bring out Helenka, who is your cook, and kind of also all-purpose kind of cleaning, brewing, alchemy, anything sort of necessary. Would she be of warrior caste, or would she be of the, like, crafter caste?
Yeah, she'd be a crafter caste, I think.
Yeah. So she is completely hairless. As the crafter caste members are. Some members wear metal beards as like a mask. She would have probably what are kind of like ear cuffs that end up being kind of like sideburns, but they're more like designed. They almost have like almost an Aztec-esque pattern on it. And she will approach and seem a little wide-eyed and surprised, and maybe a little bit teary, but it never like reaches the expression on her face. And she'll just make a slightly more honorable gesture. She can bend down more than the Major Domo can, so it'll be like a bow and arms to the chest.
Helenka, we will need to fill the stockhouse. My friends and I will be staying here for some time, and we'll be coming in and out of the city for the foreseeable future. As for my companions, this is Helenka. You already met Olfast, and somewhere around this place is probably Stana. These are my family's remaining servants, and they are loyal and also among the finest in the whole city. And he kind of like winks at Helenka.
Helenka will kind of semi-anxiously wipe off her hands on the like a thick fabric part of the apron. Like, okay, well, we will need rooms for all of the people. Big room. Yes. She pauses as she's kind of like making notes in her mind as she sees you like cradling the little baby, Ocean, and she'll kind of smile a little bit. I'll have rooms ready by the hour and stocked for a feast in the noon.
I think Ocean is like half in the door, just sort of like folded, just like, you have a lovely home.
Thank you. You may be hard to find you a room with the door you can get in, but we'll find some place for you, I'm sure.
Around now, Stana will approach from an upstairs, I guess, office, sort of library. They would also probably be... I'm trying to think what clerks would be in the caste system. But they are a clerk, you know, and their family are clerks. They have been forever. No, there's a lawkeeper caste. So he'd be from the lawkeeper caste. Has a... he's wearing glasses. The glasses noticeably have a element for a third eye. Stana does not have a third eye, but it is clearly common enough that a fairly common, like, mold for glasses has it there. And he will be holding a book. Yeah, an actual book. He has on him, like, calligrapher's tools and metal carving tools and stone carving tools all around him, just so he has them all in hand. And he will give the same sort of bow and will then turn to Helenka and just be like, I will arrange the payment for new supplies.
There's no need to get extravagant. Two of my companions don't eat, so... And then Bogdan will turn to catch it all and be like, right?
Can we just keep this fiction going that we all believe that he's he like thinks he's got all of us like
Yeah. We definitely don't know it's two gnomes stacked on top of each other and have a voice.
Catch Owl will state, actually, is like, I would not need separate chambers to myself. Surely whatever chambers would do for a Shal, I would also be comfortable within.
There's like as Charles is like there's like there's a clear moment of like slight deflation but then just acceptance. Like, this isn't a big place anyway, and
Probably
they've
doesn't have
got
that
to
many
keep up
rooms.
some.
No, in fact, there's probably only one guest room.
Yeah.
And Bogdan's probably just keeping that low key for now.
Yeah, but there's also, like, rooms that don't hold a purpose anymore, so Ocean will probably be put in another one of them, and then I guess Ashar can have the guest room, and Botov is gonna be fucking off anyway. And it is even one of those things that once you've shown the place, Botov will, like, adjust his cloak, put the hood up, and be like, you have a lovely home. I will return here once I have the information that we need.
Ocean will say to Ashal, this is a great opportunity to cultivate some responsibility. Could be useful in the future.
This is a great opportunity to get used to being in an enclosed space with someone and not. I will leave that sentence there.
So put the Ebamari in the guest room, and find a place and make it comfortable for Oshun and her child.
I like it. We'll give you an enthusiastic nod, and we'll get going. Start rushing around the house and arranging bedrooms and things.
Olfast, I will be heading to the cathedral to say my prayers to the voice. I assume you can entertain the guests while I'm away.
Oh, well, you should hear the dirge of our house. It's a beautiful.
It's a page turner. I shall return. And I'm gonna
Ashar will follow Bogdan like just a little way out, like for a quick private conversation.
Don't leave me, please!
okay. Yeah, but Bogdan's plan is to go pray, because, you know, he's...
Bogdan,
Yes.
I realize you probably have much attachment to this place, and it is likely too late already, but this is your ancestral home.
Oh, I understand your concern. No, it is... No one knows this belongs to Alabas. For the last 300 years, it has been kept well and truly out of the public eye. In the books, it belongs to, belongs to Helenka.
Ashar does seem like relieved. The tentacles go from like agitated to just calm. And good. I find it difficult to imagine that, well, I suppose dwarves probably have long memories. It is not impossible there would be a watch on any place known to belong to the Alabasts.
Of course, and that is why my ancestors took great pains to hide this place from the official eye.
They look deeply into each other's eyes.
Of course. Well, I will not keep you from your prayer.
While that's happening, and Olfast starts singing to Oshun, which calms the baby down. It's because the baby likes this song. Catch Al goes over to that little fountain, and actually, being dwarven height, it's the right height for Catch Al, and just seems to put their sleeves in the water basin as it's running for a bit.
He drinks through his hands.
And we'll kind of stop doing it by the time that
the lower gnome is desperately like trying to reach.
No, the arms are also straws. It's just set up for the lower gnome. Just
Oh my
It
God.
works.
Can Oshun sidle parentally up to Catch-em-all and just inquisitively just say, how are you feeling, Catch-al?
Catch-Al will kind of the sleeves with a little bit of water. Refreshed.
Oh, that's fantastic. You're all right staying in a room with us, Charles?
I may have to leave to feed, but as a servant of Orkshwa, it is my place to be beside Ashal, unless you request it otherwise. That is, of course, unless you need to contact Okshua through me, which we can arrange.
You can tell me anything. The awkward parental dropping the, you can tell me anything.
I will allow you a persuasion check.
Yes.
Although, Bogdan didn't tell anyone that he noticed.
No, but at this point you have been traveling with this person for a month and the weirdness has only increased.
the weirdness has escalated.
Yeah. '18 is good.
Not great with a +6.
They stare at you
High standards.
with their unmoving
They're
face.
definitely Abamari eyes.
Yeah, with their cold, lifeless eyes.
Their paper mache gaze.
One's pointing in the wrong direction.
just like a spring, like you just go boom.
Oh my
And
God.
there is a pause. And Catch Al will say, "We do not know you, but if there is a concern that is relevant, I will make sure to word it to you."
Fantastic.
No, actually, as you kind of back, I was like, "Did you want to tell me anything?"
Aww.
Aw.
You got yourself into this.
Oh,
I don't... This is why I don't talk to them.
You're that kind of big brother.
Do you just ignore them as they ask you that?
I will say. Appreciated. And just sort of move back to listen to the monotone dirge.
Yeah. Bogdan, you can head to the cathedral to pray. It is probably the most decorated building, maybe other side than maybe the King's Palace, probably more so. But even then, it's only decorated in that there are idols to the voice in the walls. At the end of the main chamber in the cathedral, where people come to pray, there would be this large, almost looking like it's been made out of organic stone, image of her face. That the layout of the cathedral bathes light in the right places. It's almost like an optical illusion. And that's really the main, kind of aesthetic thing, other than, nice wall sconces that bathe in a kind of a pale, almost yellow-white light and stuff like that. People are allowed to go up and pray in the cathedral, but there is just like a large presence of the paladins as well, of course, and general other clerics and stuff to the voice. You are not really bothered as you go there to pray. Is there anything particular you want to do as you're praying, or a particular prayer you want to make?
No, but I think once Bogdan is in private, he'll produce this petrified flower bloom, which to him is a symbol of his connection with the voice, his personal connection with the voice, and he'll use that as a focus for his prayers.
Yeah. Excellent. Within the hour, just like she said, Helenka will be able to arrange a room get the guest room ready for Ashal and Kachal, and it is a basic guest room with a basic bed and a basic desk. Not much. Then she will also get ready a room for Oshun that probably would be it was a room that had another purpose originally, maybe the armory or something, because there's a standing military or anything in this building right now. So it's a little awkward, but then she will check if, like, what do you need? Do you need beds or anything, or you just need, like, soft furnishings and stuff? They, you know.
I'm torn between, like, loads and loads of a nest of pillows on the floor, or does Oshun, like, create a web
hammock?
I was going to suggest blanket fort, but that sounds good too.
Yeah.
A combination of webbing, structure and hammock, and blankets and pillows. There's, like, levels to this thing. Instead of, like, taking up lots of space sideways, it's going to be more, like, vertical.
Yeah, which is good. That's actually pretty convenient for the space you were given. Because the space would have kind of had some space for house bats. So
Hello, bats.
there's no bats there now.
Oh.
Except maybe my familiar, but
Yeah, your
don't know
bat
where-
could hang out there.
my bat, yeah.
Which, you know, so that's great. You know, like, we'll just kind of leave you alone to arrange that. And also, you have a windows that overlook the courtyard outside. Just so you know, if it's ever relevant. Yeah, great. Once Bogdan's back, Helenka will be rushing around getting food ready. Stana as well, but Stana doesn't rush. Slow walking, careful dwarf. Purchasing enough food for a meal for however many people. Like, there's way more people here, and they probably didn't even all eat together before anyway. So it's just like a lot. Yeah, by the evening of this day, you would be together in a dining room. There wouldn't be a chair big enough for Oshun, but I guess you can kind of have, like, they would have moved a bench in for you to sit on, so you're at the same height as everyone else. And you would all be eating a very basic meal, you know. You're not eating like nobles. This is not a noble manor, really. But you can all have a warm meal and some ale.
I've really not had to consider how Oshun eats before now. And I really dislike it.
Hopefully with her mouth.
Just lots of, like, holding and then pushing.
Yeah.
Lots of moving.
I guess everyone gets a full view of Oshun eating nowadays, rather than just disappearing behind her mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, that probably would be fascinating Ulfost, who is kind of staring because he's a dwarf and he doesn't really have the subtlety to not. The others don't really seem to mind as much. Helenka's just too busy trying to make sure that everyone's, like, satisfied. When it comes to food and drink, there would also be some dwarven whiskey, as the deep dwarves produce a lot of whiskey. So that would probably be more what you were drinking more than the ale, but there would be both. Is there anything you want to do, Bogdan, with everyone together in the household and such?
I think Bogdan will just, once everyone's, like, assembled, he'll just give a very simple toast, like, to the future, you know?
Excellent. And of course, Bogdan, you have a room in your house. Although it's not really your room, it's more an Alabast family room. Is there anything special about that, or is it just kind of like a nondescript woven chamber?
I don't think Bogdan's been back here in, like, years.
No.
So I don't think he would put a lot of effort into personalizing it. It is a space that he sleeps in when he's in the city. Yeah. It's pretty Spartan. There might be some, like, family mementos tucked away in drawers, nothing exposed. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's kind of more what I was thinking. It might be old stuff, but yeah, all the old stuff is kind of tucked away. Makes sense, actually. All right. Well, your first sleep here in the city. Is there anything any of you want to do in the evening or the night?
Do you keep an eye on your roommate?
I trance. I don't need to. I'm aware.
Ooh. I always forget that you trance.
Yeah, of note, Catch-All will have probably wouldn't have been at that family meal, but would have a plate by the evening of whatever was sort of left. And it's just sort of sitting by them. And occasionally, while you're trancing over the night, you notice a
does
little...
the sleeve extend?
Sometimes, but other times you see a little whiskery rat face
Oh.
take some of the stuff.
From the hood or from like the middle?
From the bottom, because Catch-Al is almost always in this like kind of kneeling sitting position. It doesn't change much when they're standing, so it would be the bottom or the sleeve.
Is he gonna, when we unmask him, is he gonna teach us how to be ninjas?
It's possible.
I'm trying to figure it out because I don't think I'm that familiar with creatures. But the thing that's coming to mind, if it's not like a little D&D creature, I keep imagining the otter captain.
Oh, from the Monday game on Patreon.
I've got it. Like my brain went to the rat folk who Cassia's patron had under their servitude.
There are also rat men,
Yeah.
Ratton.
but clearly Catch-Al is a small Ebamari.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I
Definitely.
guess, yeah, I guessed in chat there, and Ebamari created from a fish person, so I was maybe thinking, I was thinking a bit wrong, but I was thinking along the lines of an unusual Ebamari, so yes. Would I like, because I would notice that, presumably. Do I know of like underrealm races that would fit the description?
History check, I suppose.
Just out of more out of Ian curiosity than Ashard, who wants.
Oh
to
no, you've never asked Catch-Al what's up with Catch-Al.
No, exactly.
No, of course not. No.
Always catch it out.
Yeah, you would probably have that same thought process as that there are fish people who can be turned into Ebamari. In fact, there's actually a tribe of Ebamari who don't live within the city, who live nearer the Lake of Wrath, and they are often born of fish people. But it is not a widely respected thing to be have a fish person host and stuff like that. They are kind of considered, I guess, kind of like hillbillies by the city. Off in their little community, because there are Ebamari villages that are doing their own thing, and that would be one of them. There also, that you heard and read reports of rat folk. They are an extraplanar entity. They are not of this world, but there might be ones of this world as well. There are all kinds of possibilities, really.
Still not asking.
It would
I personally so want to know, but I just want to entertain this.
charade.
This farce.
It would be come morning, which actually, interesting of note, morning's pretty fucking loud, because you're in a cathedral district. It would be bells ringing and singing outside, and the sound of a procession going overhead, like a daily, walking with like the smoky incense and stuff like that.
It's like India at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. Basically, Catch-Al will ask Ashal in the morning, would you like me to inform Ocean that Oxua that we have arrived in the city?
Yes, we are intending to put Bogdan on his rightful throne, and then may investigate the Undersun.
Oh, of course.
Well, I mean, it's like so that she's not.
I
under
will
any
inform her of this. She often, periodically, sends me messages where I may return to her the information of this case. and your continued investigations. I will inform her that you are more focused upon the Blackjaw than you are upon the lives of the cult members.
I don't like the way he said that.
I feel like I also had something else Catch Owl was gonna say, and I completely fucking blanked on it.
That we're assisting the usurpation.
It's
that we're
gone.
straight-
It's gone in my brain. My brain is gone. I can't. I've lost it. Damn it. Catch Owl might ask you something later. Yeah.
He might ask you for some cheese.
Oh, that's the other thing. And they will say, the golden ingots that are from Orkshu's treasury will have a much more favorable exchange rate within the Dwarven banks. If you would wish to translate them into golden coins, which can be better used for goods and services.
That may be wise. Yes.
Begrudgingly, he says.
Yeah, as Charles just say, like the sort of slightly snide comment from Catch Owl. I'm not sure how snide it is from someone who is so like hive-minded.
It's kind of matter of fact.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
As Charles is just sort of too weary about sort of sacrifice at this point to care. To react.
Catcher Owl will nod and will just kind of like patter out of the chamber and do their own
Will
thing.
he indeed patter out of the chamber
Mhm.
on his Evamari feeties?
I mean, Ebimari feet are whatever whatever the host was. There is no
They all float, don't they?
technically,
they all
yeah.
float
That
down
is
here.
a bit of an
Catcher Owl seems to float, but also is very low to the ground anyway.
Patter.
I just want to point out that the topic of Abamari feet has come up a lot since I joined this stream, and I don't know what you're trying to tell me, but I'm starting to clue in.
Imagining them. I just keep imagining fragile ass.
It's not
people.
me bringing it up, too. I'm usually
true,
the
it's
one who
true,
brings
it's
up the
true.
weird shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just gotta know your world, Ollie. I just gotta know it.
After Catch Owl patters out, as Shao would just sort of slump a little bit again and just go back to reading and writing little bits about study of magic, like clearly a bit sort of almost dejected. But
Oh, why are you sad? Ocean's gonna drop from the fucking ceiling. I
You're
sense
not here.
sadness.
Go away.
Ocean,
You're
no,
not
but
here.
it's the morning, and Ocean. What are the chances of Ocean drifting around the house in the morning to find her friends? Pretty high.
Well, I think Ocean in the morning would be pretty busy.
It's true.
I mean,
You
you're
could roll.
the expert.
Yeah,
Got some
like,
time.
Mornings are.
I mean, I
Yeah.
would put it past Oshun to be walking around and feeding and just like
Yeah.
probably has a cup of tea herself and is just like doing this.
Yeah, and as she asks for tea, is like, Bogdan will just walk past, like decaffeinated for her.
And Oshun's just like
Excellent. Bodov isn't back. Bodov isn't probably going to be back for several days. You know, Bodov is information gathering. So what is the go-to for y'all? What's the plans? What are the discussions that have to be had? What is next for the party people?
Well, we need to get access to the archive.
need to know where the archive is first.
I assume that's what Botov is doing?
No, Bodov is focusing mostly on Skarhane Colgard himself.
So Bogdan will meet with the party and over breakfast, right? And
Yeah.
All right, we need to use our mostly truthful credentials as Okshua's advisors to get nearby access to the archives.
Are the archives restricted? I see you have a caste system of sorts. Is access limited to lawmakers or similar? Or...
The church keeps the records that we're looking for, and these records, they would be akin to a master document that which the libraries around the city would copy off of. We need to get access to that, which is restricted. Yes.
Stanner, your broker and lawkeeper, will blow loudly on their tea at the breakfast table. Please, of course, note that if you are intending to replace something in the records, you would need a way to smooth the stone over. It's all going to be engraved. We don't keep paper records, especially for something so important, a master copy. It is too breakable.
Right. So we'll need a forgery that we can swap out.
Or
That'll be heavy and hard to bring in. Although we do have Oshun, who could carry a large block of stone without revealing too much.
Or a sorcerer.
A sorcerer. It'd be a shame if we...
Stone shape. Do you use stone shape?
Just at the table. Stone shape!
And everyone looks at her.
I remember the name of one. That never happens.
Doesn't matter the name of the spell.
I think you are confused.
I think you have more spells dealing with stone than I do.
Oh shit. Let me think.
Yeah, this might be a good time to look at what you guys can and can't do. It would also be a thing, it would be an ability that a lot of lawkeepers would have, so you would be able to get someone to do it and then chisel into the stone. I mean, Bogdan can chisel into the stone, that's fine. It's just, it would be you need to replace the document on the document.
Stana, could you contact a lawkeeper and request a official tablet, blank? You can make up whatever excuse would make the most sense. Just quiet.
Perjury is my favorite pastime.
No, we just need a legally acquired tablet. You don't have to tell them what it's for.
They will nod.
Speaking of Catch-all, where's Catch-all?
Catch-all is in the corner.
Catch-all.
I'll just drift closer.
Is there any update on the finances we're expecting from Ebamaro?
Ashal has been carrying 6 gold ingots this entire time since I have met you.
I feel like I should have known that.
It was not my place to discuss your inter-party politics on who holds the coin.
I apologize. It slipped my mind.
No. That's fine.
His god?
No, I was handed these and then came straight down to Bogdan interacting with Botov and passing it on.
I should say, Botov is an ally, an asset, but perhaps we shouldn't let him know about these.
I am told by Catch-all that these will fetch a more favorable exchange rate here. I do not know if you wish one of your retainers to exchange them, or if you want to do it yourself.
Yes, just open the Blackjaw bank account.
Normally, this would be something I would ask you, Stana, to do, but I'm concerned there may be questions on how you came about them.
That was my concern also.
So I'll deal with that.
On a tangentially related subject, Does this city, I imagine this city has a seedy underbelly, as most cities do?
The ground level is typically further away from the main gates. Is not places that most folk venture.
Two things. If we wish to avoid attention for the exchange of these ingots, they might not offer as good a exchange as a bank, but you might be able to find someone with less questions there. Secondly, I am not sure if your lawkeepers are corruptible, but that might be a way to gain access to the archives and allow them to swap a tablet out, possibly without us even needing to physically go there.
This part of the archives is all about lineage, is it not? Surely it is family pastime to inquire about one's own ancestry from across the board of peoples here.
Yeah.
How inaccessible or accessible are the archives?
You
Ollie?
give me a history check or religion check. I don't know
Okay,
which.
I'm gonna
of
do
yours is
history
better.
because I get a +1
Hmm,
on history referring to Abun.
that's true.
So I'm gonna do that. So whatever I roll +1.
Mhm.
So I got a 12.
They are not meant for anyone but the lawkeepers to travel within, to the point that there are supposedly creatures that guard the archives. Now, there may be ways that you can get a consort, I guess, to get ushered in, but really it's the kind of thing that it might, maybe even paramount to be going outside of your cast station and risking exile to travel within one of these archives. It's not really the done thing.
So we gotta plan a heist.
Yeah.
The concern I would have with asking for legal access based on family is it reveals Bogdan's presence.
True. Though if we could use that route, which would be unlikely. But if we were to petition access, we could do it for a different family and then simply move to the correct tablet and do it there.
In some cases, there isn't an escort to the records, but I think that doesn't seem to be the case here.
I've actually never done it, so it's not something I'm aware of. We need to question lore keepers without giving away our intentions as to the interior. So I'll take care of the ingots. The two of you find some lore keepers to chit chat.
Is there anyone within the Law Keepers Guild who could be loyal to you?
There may be people wistfully loyal to the Alabast name, but at this point it's been so long since my kin sat on the throne, I doubt anyone living aside from my servants in this home would dare to swear loyalty to even think that the Alabast name is still around. That is why I am going to make a trek across the country and return my name to glory. It is highly unlikely, into the realms of improbable, that you will find a lore keeper walking the streets of Abun who would swear fealty to me at first mention.
Fair enough. Botov is a professional, is he not? Would he have better luck infiltrating this place?
Perhaps, but we still need information first. We need a plan of action, and then we can enlist Botov's expertise.
If there are monsters within the archive, there is strength in numbers.
Agreed. whatever plan, we should include us all. We've tackled challenges like this before. You remember those nasty creatures in the asylum?
Yes.
Back when the asylum was underground. Good times.
Okay, so I guess the plan is get more information about the archive before you do anything.
It's a fact-finding mission.
It is. First of all, Bogdan go into the bank. The bank. I wonder if I have any banking music. I probably do, but I can't really be bothered to find it. The bank would be its own sort of district, like a banking district, right? For arrangement of funds all across the city, storage of things, and also just like separate buildings that are essentially lockboxes for very secure things. It's a very, it's almost like the dwarves of Eberron, where it's like this is something that some dwarves are very good at. And there would be mixtures of the lawkeeping and warrior caste working here. So there would be little bastions of warrior caste members who have really gainful employment and probably many family lines working together as banker guards. Not bankers, but the guards for the bankers and the people who manage everything. I guess like the people who operate the armored trucks, right? So that would be something you would definitely just passively notice as a member of the warrior caste. There's a lot of people of your kin here. The lawkeepers themselves who operate the bank, you would probably just head to like one of the main buildings, like the main bank of Abun here. Unless you really, do you want to go a little more side of it, or just like, no, I just want to transfer these into coin, right? That's really the goal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming I'm a traveler from outside the country coming in with money to convert it into currency.
Exactly.
It doesn't seem like it raise that big a fuss. Yeah,
and it doesn't. When you get up to the inside would be much like in the inside of a fancy old bank in general, with patterned stonework floors and glass tellers areas and things, but also desks and benches for discussing things. And it would literally be like I have these, I want to look them through. The lawkeeper would look at them. They would adjust their glasses, and this one does have a third eye. Amongst the lawkeeper caste, the third eye is really a semi-common thing, and it's kind of a gold orb of an eye, and they will like examine the lockbox and the ingots within them. The ingots do have markings of Ebamaro, and they will kind of go through all the paperwork. There's some stamping of things and like paper for temporary things, and it gets sent away to be chiseled and stuff like that. And they would happily convert it with you. They will describe that there is, a gold from Ebamaro is of some high demand, mostly as a curiosity, but also as kind of a physical symbol of the strange situation that the dwarves find themselves in, now being allies with the Ebamari. And it would be translated to you have 6 ingots plus the bonus 4,000 gold. Probably given to you in another lockbox. Which would actually be really secure. Which is, a lot of gold. Not enough to do a whole rebellion, but enough to, keep you supplied and well maintained while you're here and going on to your next step. That is assuming you want to take the gold with you and not open an account with them.
Yeah, I don't think opening an account that would have complications. Yeah, so I'm going to just take the gold.
Like, I have a bank account from 200 years ago with interest. It's while that's going on, Oshun and Ashal, how do you want to get information about this archive? The only thing you know about it is that it's in this district, which makes sense.
Well, I kind of assume that Bogdan's law-keeping retainer knows where it is, more or less.
He will slightly shake his head in a kind of like, this is somewhat true. I know about it. The archive is called the Lore of Lords. I know it is within the very bones of this district where the streets meet the wall. It is a place accessible via the cathedral itself, but also, I believe, has its own entrances, but any more about it I could not tell you. I do not know if you can notice, but my family is not the highest standing lawkeeper family in the city, and to operate within the Lore of Lords would be something operated by the most respectable lawkeeping families ever born within this city.
In that case, are there locales where lawkeepers gather that are accessible to the public?
Well, all across the city. He will smile slightly and is like, there is always the bars. But if you want to do a more... If you want to talk to a lawkeeper, you could talk to him to a bar after the shift or at a supply stall before it, where they will gather the inks, the stones, the chisels, etc. I am on my way to such a place, as we need high quality, high stamped and blessed materials. It will be where many lawkeepers will gather supplies before their work is done, or if they need more supplies urgently.
I must confess, I feel rather inconspicuous this far out of my own element. I was intimately familiar with Naar and the catacombs therein. However, a cathedral, I feel I could reasonably reside within, set up a network, or claim rather to be setting up a network with fellow emissaries of the cloth. I can make inquiries there, if that makes sense to you.
Perhaps my concern...
Hitting the bar, I'm not sure would be appropriate, or rather an appropriate cover.
I believe that the easiest way to gain basic information that we need would be to meet a lawkeeper of respectable standing who is pleasantly disposed and
Yes, I'll just block their path with my navel, shall I?
willing to entertain. Do you want me to finish my sentence or not?
A dynamic duo, I think you were going to say, were you not?
No, I was going to say an interested scholar whose curiosity has of other cultures has placed them as an envoy from another city. I fit the role. We just need to find someone willing to talk.
Yes.
Look for the old ones. The old ones want to talk to anyone.
All right.
Reach.
Let's start.
Stannar is heading to a supply post within the city that lawkeepers operate from, which will be run by lawkeepers. So it would be not. It's not so much a shop. It is really like here. It's more like a I guess, what do they call it? Who knows? But it's an area where you can get all of these sort of supplies, and he will kind of allow you to follow him there. There are lawkeepers from all other parts of the city. Most of them are wearing robes of some degree. Really like rough fabric robes, though some of them are a nicer kind of like maybe spider silk in some places even. And stuff like that. The colors and patterning of the robes definitely seem to some degree speak to standing and where they might operate and where they might be kind of bound to. The majority of people here are either the very young lawkeepers fetching things for people, or older lawkeepers who are like, this is kind of part of their routine. They're like, I'm coming to here, I'm on the way, I'm getting, inks, and I'm getting my chisel enchanted, and etc., etc.
Oh no, are they like deans? I requested a study space 5 minutes ago.
Oh, like, absolutely. But this would just be supplies. So this would be like the dean of stationery. This is just a giant stationery warehouse, basically.
Oshun is very happy here. By which I mean I am very happy here.
The librarian senses tingle. There would be raised eyebrows at you, all three of them, but they don't. You're not like stopped from entering or anything because you enter with a lawkeeper. But Stanner just immediately goes to requisition high quality blessed tablets.
I think Oshun would like sort semi lean down to Ashal and say, well, I suppose I have spent many years becoming used to stairs. Stairs across the wall are probably no different.
Yes. Do you wish to select someone to talk to, or should I?
Yes, maybe I can pick up some conversational feelings. Can I see anyone who seems like particularly bored or looking like they want to have a conversation with strangers?
Friendly old
Oh my
dwarf.
god! Oh, maybe they'll be like, when we were in Japan, there was this older guy who like came up to us and was like, hey, are you here to go to like Disneyland? And he just wanted to have a conversation in English. We then bumped into the same guy on a train. It was like, hey, are you here to Disneyland? And we were like, we met you before, and he had no memory of this. And he's just looking for a foreign person to be like, let's practice my common.
That's genuinely a really good shout. Let's have it be an insight check to kind of drift around this place and look around. There would be main thoroughfares, and then there would be like these big stone tables which there are goods on, and the essential merchants requisition it, as well as the occasional priest or lawkeeper priest. They're not like full-on priests who are casting enchantments and blessings upon things and such.
Am I giving advantage by helping her look, or?
Yeah, sure.
Dope.
22 is really good. 22 is really good. You see a fairly young-looking lawkeeper dwarf, and by that I mean probably like it's the same sort of age as like Bogdan and Botov, where it's like, like 200 or so. Got a lot more life to live. But they have a fairly ornate uniform on. It has kind of like a kind of not like a headdress, I guess a shoulder dress of metal. It'd be a kind of like brass with golden elements and things like that. And they are getting some things engraved. They have scrolls full of things to do, and they're also just kind of like waiting. So they're handing things out, and they're also sort of like waiting. And they seem like the kind of person that you'd be able to start a conversation with. Everyone else is either like too busy or too like, why would I give a shit? But this person is like just kind of waiting around while other stuff is going on, and is starting conversations with like the people they're working with that aren't really going anywhere. So they might be a good one to talk to.
So we're in a stationary place,
Yeah.
and I suppose we could ask for directions. Beginning with directions is always like good.
It's a good idea. You don't know where you want to go, so.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Directions to, or we've heard of this.
Oh
We've heard
Do you know of a good vegan restaurant in the area?
What was it? The law of lords.
The Law of Lords.
Law of Lords. I did remember it right. We've heard of this place called the Law of Lords. It sounds very interesting. Is that something?
Yeah,
we could
that's a good
find?
avenue to go down.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we do.
Okay.
So
So
we go to roll. Okay.
yes.
I don't want to mess up the sentence structure now that it's already been said.
So we would approach, and as shall lead with, "Good day.
Good day.
I realize we are probably oddities here. We are curious, myself in particular. We are here on a diplomatic mission from Ebimaro. That is why we are in the city. But personally, I have an interest in lore and history and other cultures. It is partly why I was chosen. Not very common among my people. I have heard tell of a place called the Law of Lords. It is a grand archive. I wondered if you could tell me of it, perhaps direct me to it if it is somewhere I could access. I do not know if that is permissible.
It would not be allowed for you to enter the Law of Lords yourself, but we do allow some showings of certain areas. I am very glad that you are so interested in our culture. We hear so many people from both your lands that are just not interested in the strong stone, rich history of Abunir, and it's really good to hear that you're interested. The Law of Lords is a hall in which the history of every king of Abunir, since the very beginning, is stored. The king and their bloodline and other nobles that are of importance. It remains sure and unchanging, just as history is, unchangeable, and allow...
So you're saying it will be difficult to change?
It would be very hard. It would be impossible to change. It is... It is from which many of the histories of this land are told. It does not have the legends, it only has the facts that have been passed down through our people. It's... It is a truly magnificent thing for those who respect law. We have smaller degrees and archives of such things in different areas of the city. There are such archives about the grandest of priests. There are archives about the grandest of the distillers. But the Law of Lords is where kings are recorded eternal. Sometimes long after their passing.
You do hear sometimes of entire archives going up in smoke due to the nature of the method of how they store information.
I presume that is less of a concern for yours. I believe they are stored on stone.
We store all of these records on stone, unflinching and unchanging. The most strong of stone and also blessed by the wall. Now, it would be there would still be concerns if it was not a closed system. There could still be water damage or air damage. We're talking over periods of thousands of years. But such a thing has not occurred. We also have enchantments to...
The tablets very much? Would oils interfere with that?
Many tablets are not designed to ever be picked up by dwarven hands. Many of them are carved into the very walls themselves. The ones that are picked up can occasionally suffer minor degradation, but that is part of the process. We are able to recover the specific carvings if there is ever any danger, and also our servitors within the ruins make sure that they are strong, and that any damage that happens over time due to entropy is repaired.
And I'm from the Church of Jarviskjir myself, and I know that we handle weddings and funerals and things like that. I was curious, how do you handle, obviously names change, if there was a mistake or a marriage, how would that be changed upon stone?
It would be added to the record. Nothing from the past is removed. We make no mistakes.
I presume then that it is only a select few that are able to adjust, to add to these records.
I myself have never even gone into the true record chambers. I work within the lore of lords, but I do not go deep within them. Only the most oldest and wizened lawkeepers would do such a thing. And to add something to the lore of lords, it might sound simple, but it is a very long process.
No apprentice scribe.
Yes, we would never let an apprentice near the tablets. No, that would be very foolish.
He's like, ha ha ha. No.
That's when you guys are like, ha ha ha, unless.
You mentioned viewings. Are these frequent? I imagine not.
Oh, we only have one or two a decade.
The opportunity would be most incredible.
Yes, yeah, it would.
Ashal sheds a single tear.
I will allow one of you to make a deception check with advantage.
5 + 3.
So am I. Does it?
Oh, it's all to play for.
Advantage.
Well, it's a 12. It's not so bad that he's gonna be like suspicious.
Why
That's
did I
okay.
let you
Yeah,
go
exactly,
on
it's-
advantage?
It would be such a thing would only be allowed to perhaps if the Daimao traveled here in peacetime, or the grandest of diplomats that and lawmakers and those who are maybe even lawkeepers of other kingdoms. Now that we have more open borders, it is not very common though, and it is exceedingly rare that the tour would actually take them to the oldest tablets themselves. But
Yes. Although I am not of the law profession myself, I do confess that I would love for our peoples to exchange information, especially on something so important as records.
your people would be interested in knowing about the kings of our land?
Oh, the methodology of the recording.
Far more important. Yes, I have read treatises of how your people keep records, and it is truly shameful.
It has been a mess for some time. Entire swathes of kinds of people just omitted. Anyway, I
At
digress.
least you have physical records. Most of ours is maintained in the song, which can be fallible if large portions of our population suffer misfortune due to, say, war.
That is why I really, I would most value the opportunity to see this thing for myself.
I will allow Oshun a deception check with advantage. I allowed Ashal one, it's fair to allow Oshun one.
What was that, sorry?
Deception with advantage.
Give me more advantage, tiny baby.
Well, you dodged a nat 1.
Hey!
I will be returning to the Lore of Lords soon. I will, perhaps I will inquire to see if it's possible that you two would be allowed a tour of some of our, lesser noble halls.
Would you?
So, you know, such things such as the Lords of the Stool that assist the kings in some difficult times, and gardeners. And
Oh,
such.
I heard you should eat oatmeal.
Perhaps. I will...
The Black Shawl? No.
That would be most appreciated beyond anything we could have expected.
Oshun will probably shake his hand.
He is surprised, but we'll shake it back, and I will return here, of course, on my affairs each morning, and I will let you know if it is possible tomorrow.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
And with that, and you actually securing a tourist tour of a secret place, I think it's a great place to end today's session.
I want Oshun and Ashal to leave with the conversation of how an Ebamari exactly would chisel.
Next time, baby. Not really. So, real quick, why don't we go about who you are and what's going on, starting with Jaken. What's up?
Hi. Well, first of all, thanks again for having me on.
It's only temporary.
Well,
It's been only temporary for about 10, 15 weeks now.
yeah, well, I'm still happy to be here, so I guess take that. Yeah, so you can find me over at twitch.tv/JakenZol, or you can look up GM Jaken or Dire Roll on YouTube to catch the VODs. And on my Twitch, I stream every Sunday at 6 p.m. Central North American. We do tabletop RPGs. We're currently playing in a system called Alternity, which is a D20 sci-fi system. And we are in our final adventure of the campaign. The party's getting their allies together to go lay siege to a planet. And they don't have much of a plan yet.
Oh, good. We've seen how a final siege with no plan can go. So... hopefully they're luckier than you guys were.
Many times.
Yeah, and and also there's this looming apocalypse, you know. So
The staples.
Standard.
yeah,
So,
exactly. So yeah, so if you want to catch some of that, my group's pretty good, and yeah, we're playing this Sunday coming up, and yep, that's me.
Ian and Zoe. Starting with Ian, I guess.
Well, we're now married. That's a
We're married! Yeah!
But no more coordinated.
We
No,
did!
well, yeah, dyspraxic hand trying to work out which angle to go in
Yeah,
backwards.
yeah.
Yes, that's
It's flopping about.
You know, Ebamari, you know. Talk about the feet, talk about the hands.
So that's the most important, or well, I suppose the only real important bit of update, I think, from me. I will just say my normal piece that if you like this stream, you can also get access to the Monday Games, a podcast, if you subscribe to Ollie's Patreon for $5 a month. On Monday, we started out meant to having a chill session because 2 party members were gone, and
Maybe the most important session of the campaign.
in some is yes. Yes.
Sometimes that'll happen.
Yes, it was certainly a session and a half. So, and there's going to be a lot of fallout from that next week. So
Yeah, it was a really good one.
yeah.
Welcome back those 2 missing members.
Yeah.
What did you do?
So I'm half in great anticipation and half bricking myself with that
one. Zoe.
Yeah. So we're working on a game and it should be out soon. And we're super excited. We're writing extra stuff. Well, we are. And I am writing stuff for like developing the lore and things like that for the installments, and so excited.
Schism Immolation of Infers Kickstarter should be next month, which is nearly this month because it is of course the 30th. So the Schism Kickstarter should be this upcoming month. Of course, things are still always up in the air. We are currently working on some of the stretch goals. What they might be, what they might include. It's going to be really cool. If you don't know, Schism is a board game series set in this same universe as Jarviskjir. You don't need to know anything about it if you just want to enjoy the game, because the game itself is really fun. And also, the game is the starter set for the Kickstarter is a fully encompassing game product. You don't need to buy anything else to enjoy it. It's ready to play out of the box, which is really important. It's not something a lot of other war games or even board games can say sometimes. So, that's going to be really good. Of course, information about that is going to be on the Discord and everywhere else, and Twitter. If you want to hear more about that and also more about what I'm working on, Twitter and Discord. Yay! If you don't join Discord, you should. There is a spoiler chat for this show and also a general Jarviskjir lore chat as well, and all kinds of other discussions. And on my Twitter, I will post art, and on my Patreon, I post art. More stuff is going as I may soon be treated for my chronic illness for the first time in 5 years. So soon there might be more stuff as I have got the energy of a regular human. Potentially. So we'll see. But with that, we'll see you next week and say thank you to people who support us on Patreon. See you next time.